All right, my friends, so today we're doing a video that's a little different for sure. And it's because, well, you know, I'm not feeling great today. So bear with me. I'll try to be as excited and animated as I can. But we're doing the 5 reasons why you should buy one of the new Mac M1s running the Apple Silicon. Yeah, this is why you should buy it. Oh yes. And stay tuned for another video that's going to be coming up very soon as to maybe why you shouldn't. All right, guys, coming up. All right, so many of you know that I actually run one of the new MacBook Pro M1 machines, the 16 gig version with 512 gigs of RAM. But why did I get this, and why should you? Well, I got my little notes here on my MacBook, and the number one is, and we've all seen this, these things are crazy fast. They are crazy fast. I ended up actually selling my 16-inch MacBook Pro with 32 gigs of RAM and an i9 because for my needs, which was using it primarily for video editing, it was actually faster. Like considerably faster. So having a machine that was really portable and, well, just speed-wise, you know, was a huge benefit. So that's without question probably the biggest reason that you and I would buy this, especially if you're coming from a current Apple product. So number one, just speed. Number two, you're kind of future-proofing yourself. From someone that used to work for Apple retail, you know, we saw a lot of people come into our stores that were not your, I want to say your younger viewer, not someone that bought a new computer every 1 to 2 years. They bought a computer with the hopes that this machine would last them 5, 6, 7, 8 years, maybe even more. And, you know, buying an Intel-based machine right now, one of the other ones, could be a MacBook, Mac Mini, iMac, really has, and we can see it, some future-proofing concerns because Apple really is going towards the Apple Silicon. And because of that, if we're looking at getting a machine or a computer, it doesn't really matter which one you get, MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, or Mac Mini, right now, you know, you're not going to get that from one of the Intel machines, but the chances are much higher that you'll be able to stretch the Apple Silicon M1 machines out even longer because that's just the path that Apple is going. This is the chipset that they are going to be using, is their own Apple Silicon. They're getting rid of Intel, and if you want a machine that's kind of future-proofing yourself, I think this is just a better idea, especially if you want some longevity out of the machine. You know, if you're looking for something a little more short-term, then your options are a little different, right? Number 3, ports. We hear a lot of it, and this one really is in regards and depends a lot on you as a user, right? This has 2 USB-C ports / Thunderbolt ports, and you have to be aware of the expansion or expandability out of those 2 USB-C ports, versus that either one can be used as power, which is great. Number 2 is that they can, with adapters, be converted really into just about anything. So you can take that USB-C port, plug a hub into it. Now you have a pass-through power USB-C port. Usually you have some USB-A ports, you have SD card readers, you have HDMIs, you have Ethernet, etc., etc. So is that a big deal that there's only 2? For the majority of us, not really. It's something that we can definitely get by. I have 2. I also have a couple different USB-C adapters, and my days are just fine. So is that an issue? Not really, but I can see it possibly for some. Not for the majority of us though. So USB-C, the real big perk is the fact that it can be converted into really just about anything else, which is really nice. Number 4, you know what? It's a tried and true design. And a lot of people are like, but I want a newer design. Well, newer design comes with newer risk, right? If we get bigger screens, different technologies, then we run that risk of failure. You know, whenever you buy, let's say, a first generation, especially with design changes, That's a big thing to realize. I, for instance, bought the very first 15-inch MacBook Pro with a Retina display, and that thing went back into the shop two times, I think it was, for display issues. So, you know, it was the first time they had gotten into their Retina displays, their Retina screens, and as much as I loved it, there was issues with it for sure. Why? It's the first generation, right? Now, the one thing people may argue is that, yeah, but the Apple Silicon is first generation. Not really. You know, Apple Silicon has been around for a long time because it's what's in the iPads and it's what's in the actual iPhones. Basically, the M is Mac, right? At least that's what I'm thinking, right? It's their Mac first generation. Is it? Not really. That technology that's in the Apple Silicon really has been around, and again, is in the iPhone and iPad. The display and this machine right here, it's just been around for so long. So if you're needing that appearance, I get it. But for most of us that are buying this, really it's about having a machine that's dependable, that we can trust, and it works. And you know what? This does all that. So I'm okay with it. Oh yes. Last one that I'll talk about is that the battery life on this thing is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. There's times where I forget that this thing is running and I'll leave for a couple hours and come back expecting it to have no power, and you look and it's like 80% power still. And you're like, really? You know, I've seen people online, just like you go searching for, that get these machines and have done tests on them and running just basic staying on, I think like running a basic loop, let's say through YouTube, they're getting 18, 19, 20 plus hours on a single charge. That's ridiculous. There's no laptop that I know of outside of this that can get that kind of time on a single charge. And the big bonus is, of course, we don't need any kind of special like cable. It runs off USB-C. So as long as you have a 45 or 60 watt USB-C power adapter with cable, you can charge this. So I think the battery life in this is absolutely fantastic. So as a recap, here's my 5 favorite reasons that you should. Number 1, it's smoking fast. Period. It's just crazy fast. It kind of blows away anything that's out there right now, especially in its price range. Number 2, just future proofing, right? You're getting into this Apple Silicon based, which is where Apple is going. So starting here, you know that there's not going to be another chipset redesign anytime soon. So we're good. We're good for probably a long time right now. Ports. It's got 2. And for some people might be like, oh, that's not enough. Well, you know what? For 80% of us, it's plenty. How many things are you going to have plugged in? SD card and power maybe? SD card, hard drive? And if you need more, just get an adapter. At least you have that flexibility of taking these 2 ports and really changing them into kind of whatever you want. So that's kind of cool. Tried and true design. That's number 4, tried and true. It's a design that's been around for the better part of this past decade. At least that's what it feels like. And there's a reason for that. It's a design that's solid. It's a design that works. And you know what? Are the bevels a little thicker? Maybe. Do I care? No. So whatever, if that doesn't bother you, and it shouldn't, I don't think, then that's a perk. I'd rather have a design that I know is going to be tried and true and is not going to fail because, of course, it's first generation. Last thing is just battery and efficiency. This thing runs pretty much forever. You know, getting anywhere from 18 to 20 hours with bare minimum workload, but that can be 7 to 8 hours above pretty much its nearest competition. So that's a huge thing, especially you've got a portable, you've got a laptop. You want to be able to go out and about. You could easily go away for a weekend with this and not have to bring anything to charge it with. Like, that's awesome. Maybe unless you're doing like video editing, then you may want to, because that's a little bit harder on the machine. But there you go, my friends. The 5 reasons I think you should buy one of the new Apple Silicon M1 machines. Very cool. All right, guys, next video coming up right away. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that little bell right there. And we'll see you really shortly. Later, guys.